So let's talk about what is Git and GitHub, right? And why I took this topic upfront in this series because I want you to understand how you can work with the single files. Because when you understand how the Git and GitHub work with the single files, you can work with a list of files as well, right? And why programmer mostly use this kind of versioning tool, right? That we'll also discuss in detail. But before we jump into the Git and GitHub, few of the concept you should be aware. Like the first things, what is version and what is version control, right? Because versioning and version control, that is the main purpose of using the Git and GitHub, right? We can track the things, but how, like, in a good way we can track the things. So whenever we require to roll back to the different version, when we want to see the rollback what was the in a previous version, we can easily track. So we will talk about the version and version control. Each and every software will have some version assigned to it, why and what is the importance of that particular version, we will discuss. Then we will talk about what is Git and GitHub. Then we will see the installation of Git bash, and then how you can create your account in GitHub, right? How you can create your first repository in GitHub, right? Then we will talk about the basic command from scratch, right? So if you do not have any prior knowledge about Git and GitHub, then no need to worry. This video will help you to understand each and everything from scratch, how you can create your accounts, how you can start with the Git and GitHub. Okay, so let's we start with the first things, what is version and version control, right? So we all know, right, what is version. Version is something, I will just say, is the unique number that we define to the software or application, right? So we can log the stage. Let's suppose how we can log the stage. So in version 1 we have 20 requirement, right? So now suppose we have to track that 20 requirement, right? We always refer the version 1.0. Now some more requirement added, right? Like suppose now 10 more requirement added, so now that particular version will have a 13 requirement, total 30. So that we will consider as a version 2.0 or something like that way. We normally give the versioning to the software or application, right? And that version will help us to identify the application based on their functionality and features, and how you can differentiate between the different version. Okay, so let me just talk in a simple word, right? So suppose if you have Microsoft Office installed, right? If you just search for a PowerPoint, it just says PowerPoint 2013, right? This means this is the version of the PowerPoint. So similar way, if you see the browser, right? If you go to the Chrome, you go to the help, and it just says about Google Chrome, right? Then also you can see the version. So each and every application, right, will have some version defined. Why? Because that will help the developer, the tester, or the organization to understand which version is available for customer, which version customer is using, and if they have any bug or issue, they can easily fix it, and they can also provide the update on the version. Okay, now how the versioning work. Versioning work in a different way, but we will talk in detail when we talk about the automation part. But this is the basic concept of version, just understand, right? To give the unique number of the application, to log the stage of the requirement of the functionality. Okay, now let's we go back, and this is version controlling, right? So what is version controlling? Like the name suggests, how you control the version of the application, like version 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? How you control that things in a good way, so developer or other stakeholder in a SDLC, right, like a BA, project manager, QA, can easily identify, okay, this is the application will belong to this version, right? These are the list of reports, or these are the list of documents are referred to this particular version. And how you can control them in a better way, that is called the version controlling, right? Nowadays we work on agile, even though previously when we work on the waterfall model, right, the version controlling also equivalent importance. Because when you give something to the customer, right, and when you want to track those things, right, based on the version controlling is always help the developer or the stakeholder to maintain the credibility of the application in front of the customer as well. Okay, so version controlling is also known as source control. Source control means whatever the development file that you have written, the source file you have written, that is we call the source control. Okay, guys. So let me just give you the basic example. Okay, how the version and version controlling will work. So suppose we have version 1.0, right? Let me make it bit bigger, and it has a 10 requirement. Now this is with the customer. Okay, now customer give us some change and we will create the version 2.0, which has the additional 10 requirements. Means now 10 plus 10, total 20 requirements we have for the customer. Okay, now suppose from this 10 requirement, right, we will have the requirement ID something like this, 1.0 and 1.1 and 1.2, something like that way, and this is how 1.10 we will have, right? And additional another 10 requirement we will have 2.0, 2.1, 2.2, and 2.10. So these are the second version requirement, right? So this is the 10 requirement, this is a 10 requirement. Now suppose customer give us some changes in the requirement, right? So they just says, okay, I want to change in this particular module. So you can just say, okay, this is the change in the version 1.2 requirement, right? So whatever the requirement will get changed over here, we will just notify over here. So what will happen, we know, okay, whatever the we have in a version 1.2, sorry, in a version 1, the requirement 1.2 is has been changed, right? So what we can do, when we release this particular change, we need to make sure it is available in version 1.0 and 1.2 as well. Okay, and something which has been changed after onward, let's suppose customer ask to change in this requirement 2.1, right? So what will happen, we no need to change in version 1.0. Why? Because this 2.1 is came in a version 2.0 itself. So whatever changes we will make, we can only make it available in version 2.0. We no need to worry on this version 1.0. Why? Because that is not a part of these particular things. Okay, so that makes sense, right? We only concern about the requirement and the subsequent version release that we have done for the particular application. Now suppose we have a version 3.0, right, and it has another 3 requirements. So total 13 requirements we have, right? So 10 plus 10 plus 10, now we have 13 requirement with the customer, right? And over here similar 3.0, 3.1, 3.2, and 3.10. So we have this 10 requirement, right? So total 13 requirement. Now customer is using this one and somehow he feel like we are not happy with these new changes, right? And we almost want to ignore this change and we want you to roll back us on 2.0, right? So it will be in this scenario, it will be easy for developer, for the deployment team, for the cloud engineer to roll back the version, right? Because they have tracked the history, they have the track the history of this particular version. So they normally have this package, this version 2.0 package, and they just go to the server and they just update or deploy that version 2 package by removing the 3.0. So this is how that is also help you to roll back to the previous version and update your new build to the application. So this is the use of the version controlling, guys. Okay, now the challenge was that when the project will get increased, right, the number of files get increased, it is very hard to track these changes initially in Excel. Initially when nothing was there like any application to track this version, people used to track these things in Excel, right? They normally put the in Excel in this format, right? Just says version 1.0, 2.0, something like that way they used to maintain like this way. But then recently that few of the application come where we can track these particular things in a good way, right? So we can easily roll back and we can easily update the team. So far so clear, right? What is version and version control? Perfect. If you have any questions, you can just let us know. You can contact me anytime. You can also send email to us. We will definitely get back to you. Okay. Then the next thing is what is Git. Now once you understand this concept, what is version and version control, then it will be the part how you can use the Git, right? So Git is nothing, is one kind of distributed version control system, right? So it is a distributed version control system, means it will be work on a multiple way, right? The distributed means it is divided to the multiple things, and you can somehow you can keep the changes at the one place and you can manage it easily. Okay, it is widely used source control because most of the company nowadays use Git, right? So this is one of the, I will just say, is the must required things if you are learning the automation, right? because when you write your automation code like your selenium files or your java code in a selenium, right, you have to use the git in day to day basis. Okay, so it is very much important to learn the git, and that's the reason we take this one upfront, and we will, whatever we learn from now onwards, we will use a git. Okay, now what git will do, so git will allow the multiple developer automation engineer to work on a same project at the same time, right, and they can keep the track of everything. Okay, so that is the main purpose of using a git, right. Let's suppose in one project we have 10 files, right, and each developer wants to update different files, they can do it easily using the git. Okay, and at the same time, if they want to access the same file, right, they can also do the same thing using the git. Now Git will be have a two things. Git will be normally installed in local machine, and we can configure in a local machine. Then we will connect with the remote repository. Okay, so Git will be have a two repository, the local and remote repository. So let's we start with how we can install a Git. Okay, then we will talk about the GitHub. Okay, so let's we go and see how to install a Git. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going on a Google, and simply I will just write install git on Windows 10. Okay, and this first website will come, just go through that one and just go download, and over here you will find how to download in a Windows system, you see. So over here just go to this one, right, and download this particular thing. So I will click on this one, and it just says download standard. Okay, so I will go with the standalone installer, 64-bit git windows setup. I will click on this one, and as soon as I will click on this one, it just says this is gonna be downloaded. Okay, so once it is downloaded, we will install this one. So go to standalone installer and go to 64-bit and 32-bit based on your configuration, and start installing these particular things. So let me go and go to my download, and I can just refresh this one, and I can see these particular things. Now I can just run as administrator, and I can start installing the Git in my system. Okay, so if I go to this my particular folder, right, currently I'm right clicking over here. You see I cannot see any option for Git or Git bash. Okay, but after installing we can see the difference. So what I'm gonna do, I will click on next. I will just say C program file. Yes, this will be my location. I will just say, would you like to? Okay, yes, I have installed it previously, so that is the reason it is asking. I will click on next and next, and I will just says go and just install, right, and then next. No need to change anything, guys. Just go next, 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 and it will be. And over here also use the go next and default, and go next. Then click on next and just install. Okay, as soon as you will click on install, it will start installing these particular things. So now if you know how to install a git, you can follow these steps and you can install the git bash in your system. Okay, this is what we are installing a git, right, guys. GitHub is a different things. We are installing a git in our local machine, right, from where we can manage our local repository. We can track the local file in our machine itself, and then after, the concept of GitHub will come. Okay, so once this is installed, you can see the difference. As of now, you see over here we do not have any option for GitHub, sorry, git bash, but after installation you can see the difference. So I will show you that information in a while. So let it read, and it will not take much time. It will be quickly installed in your system, right. So everything is getting installed, you see, running the post install script. So this is how you can install, right, the GitHub. And I just says launch a git bash. I'm not gonna do, or if you want you can also do. I'm not gonna release this one, and I'll just click on finish. Okay, and you see this is the GitHub, guys. Sorry, this is the git bash. Okay, and this is how it's look like. This is similar to a command prompt, but this is different things. Okay, if you just write down cmd, right, this is your command prompt, and this is how it look like. But git bash will look like this one. This is the icon of git bash, and this is over here you can put your git command. Okay, so I am closing this one, I am closing this one, and now if I right click, you see it just says git ui and git bash over here, right? You can go with the git bash as well, that is both are similar, and in whatever the directory you are, it is always shows the default, right? So this is the correct way to use the github or git bash. Just come over here on the folder of the project, then right click and go to git ui. Okay, this is how you can open, sorry, not this one but this git bash. Okay, so this is, we will keep it open, but this is how you can install the git in your local machine. You can install like this way, and you can download it from this particular link. Just search it from google, go to windows, and you can download from this particular link. Okay, perfect. Hope you guys understood how you can install git in your local machine, right? How you can download it and how you can install it on your local machine, and how you can open the git bash from the respective folder or project directory. Okay, so far we have covered basic about git and github and how you can install git. So in the next video we're going to talk about how you can create a github account online, right? And how you can create your first repository. Okay, so if you like our video and if you want to know more about on how to learn the things from scratch, please subscribe to our channel. We will put some more video related to the qa, then data analyst, then the business analyst, and the devops. So these are the different area that we're going to cover in our this channel. So please stay connected with us by subscribing to our channel. Thank you.